What's up, y'all? Sorry I've not done a video in 2 days. So Braveheart I am doing tomorrow. I was between Wednesday and then yesterday. I was just tired, dude. I wanted to do the Mission Impossible one yesterday, but I was just like, when I was just laid on the bed, I'm not gonna front. I was just done. I almost couldn't even get up at that point. So I'm doing it now. Still gonna do Candyman 3 later. I'm probably gonna actually watch it in a couple hours here. But Mission Impossible 8 or 7. Or I guess technically it's 7, but then the next one's gonna be 8, even though it's part 2. I gotta say, the Mission Impossible movies are kind of weird for me because I didn't really care for them a couple years ago. Like, I've seen the first 3, but I don't really remember. I'll be honest, I don't remember the earlier. I don't really remember the earlier Mission Impossible movies. So I will definitely probably go back and review them. Probably here soon. I'll probably there's so many movies. I'm gonna try to take it slow with them. So maybe I won't. It won't be like if I do review them. It's not gonna be like how I normally do movie reviews, where it's a week after each. I might take a break because there's other movies I want to review, and I don't want to just devote because there's like now. Well, besides this one, there's 6 other movies I gotta do. So I don't want to just do 6 straight weeks of it. So I'll take it slow. So here, maybe every other week. So maybe next week I'll do the first one, and then the week after or 2 weeks later I'll do 2. Kind of do it like that. But rewatching or watching Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, because I don't really remember Ghost Protocol much either. I've seen it, but I only really it was like from Rogue Nation on is where I really remember. Actually, no. I'll take the Ghost Protocol back. I did see it. I remember that one. It was like 4 through like the last few are the ones I really remember. I don't remember the first 3. That's the ones I know. But Mission Impossible is, I have to say it, I'm going to probably say it a lot in this video. It's the new James Bond. I mean, Ethan Hunt has a lot more fun. The new Bonds, from what I hear, are basically just very depressing. Besides Casino Royale, that's the only of the Daniel Craig ones I saw. I think I may have seen part of either Skyfall or Spectre, but I never saw the whole thing. Well, I would argue we're pretty close to the Craig ones now, because I only got like World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day left. So, but that's next week. But I gotta say, Ethan Hunt just. These movies are fun. I think why I really liked Fallout, I remember seeing that one in the theater. I was just blown away. This one's good. It does not touch Fallout. I don't think it's not even close. It doesn't even touch Fallout. What I will say about this one is it's a fun ride. Introducing new characters like Grace was good. Bringing Gabe back was awesome. He's actually one of my favorite parts of the movie. It was nice having a villain who was evil, who was a good personal villain to Ethan. But the chemistry between Ethan, some of my favorite parts of this movie, besides like the action, really is just the banter between him, Benji, and Luther. I thought those were like some of my fucking favorite parts of the movie. So basically, the movie is about Ethan needs to get this thing called the key back, which is, leads to the entity, which is this evil AI thing, which I love how they introduce it. It's done in a way, too, where it's not cringy. Same thing with the key. The key doesn't just feel like a MacGuffin that everybody needs. They actually really explain that the key is important because it's tied to the entity that you either basically can destroy it, because it leads to this, the lock is this submarine that was destroyed in the start of the movie, and basically it has the original entity source. So basically, if they get it, you can either destroy the entity or control it. So it's like they really hammer it home that this thing's important, and it's not just, oh, it's a MacGuffin like the fucking dial was from Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny. Like, it actually isn't just. It's actually important, and they actually make you understand why it's important. But Grace as a new character is awesome. I think overall she's great. Granted, I love Haley Atwell. I've always have, and it just watching this makes me like, you know what? She probably could have been Helena, and it probably would have worked. worked for Indy 5. But so basically, they have to try to get the entity from either Gabe, what's it, Bennington, I think is his name, who's Ethan's boss. But yeah, overall, awesome flick. The action scenes are just. I think why is because the fact that why they work too is because in the back of your mind, you know they're real. You know, Tom Cruise is actually doing these stunts, and I think the biggest thing about this movie too is that, I'm gonna say it. Tom Cruise is carrying Hollywood right now. He's like the only actor I would say. He's the last movie star, so that's probably gonna be the title of this video. Tom Cruise is carrying Hollywood because he is. This Maverick, which I'll say this does not compare to Maverick. Maverick is a way better movie, but I had fun with this. You could tell, like, Tom Cruise actually cares about his characters. That's why he never. Why I'm he's one of those guys. Like, if I see he's gonna be in a movie, and or a movie that's tied to like a legacy character of his, I can trust it because I know he deep down loves these characters. He's not fucking Harrison Ford. Love Harrison Ford, but this is the truth. I don't think he gives a fuck about these characters. He acts like he cares about Indy, but if he really did, he would not have had Indy written like the way he was in the last movie. So, like, he genuinely cares about Ethan Hunt. Like, Tom Cruise actually wants because Ethan Hunt, this whole movie is a badass. Yeah, he struggles, but he's a badass. There's not one moment. It doesn't feel like he's just being dragged around either. This very much is his movie. Yeah, Grace is a new character, so you got to get acquainted with her. But even with her, he outsmarts her a couple times. I mean, granted, yeah, she's a thief, right? So she's gonna kind of fuck him over a couple times. But he gets one over on her a couple times. I mean, he's the one who has to help break her out when they're in I don't remember what the country was, but when he has to help break her out, because if I had to say one negative, I guess I have a couple. Movie was too long. I'm not against long movies, but I don't think this movie needed like the extra 30 minutes. This could have been 2 hours. Maybe even 2 hours and like 15 or 2 hours and 10. It did not need to be 2.5. I think that you could have trimmed that extra 30 minutes down. Maybe trimmed it down. That's why I say 2 hours and 15, maybe trimmed it down, like cut 15 minutes out of it, or even 20 minutes out of it and just make it 2 hours and 10. Like, it did not need to be as long as it did. I felt like at points it was dragging. Other negative, I didn't care for the agents that were chasing Tom throughout the movie. I didn't care for the character. I almost felt like they were just in the fucking way the whole time. And maybe they'll come back. And I understand by the end they let Tom go, or they let Ethan go and help Grace in the end. But it's still like, I would have rather them just written them out the movie. I felt like they were just fucking annoying. I felt like they were just in the fucking way the whole time. And I'm just like, give me more Ethan Hunt and the other characters. I don't care about these cops or these agents or whatever that are after him. So I don't even care to know their names. So they're my big negative, definitely. I just felt like they were a bit annoying. But it doesn't bring the movie down. It's just I found them a bit annoying. But other than that, overall, awesome flick. I love the music. The soundtrack was awesome. Cinematography was pristine. Just shots like when the train's just driving, which is towards the end, is awesome. So I'm probably gonna watch this again on the weekend. I don't know when, either maybe tomorrow or Sunday if you wanted to do. Other than that, later tonight, Candyman 3. I've not seen Candyman 3, so that one is actually gonna be a fresh one for me because I've never seen it. And if I did, I don't remember it. But I don't think I have. I know I've seen Candyman 2. I don't really remember 3. So that'll be interesting. We'll see if it is good or not. And next week, we're going to rip a new one into that dog shit reboot. So, and then tomorrow, I'm going to do Braveheart. I can't wait to talk about that movie. Rewatching that movie, I forgot how violent that movie was. Fucking... There's a dude who just gets his leg chopped off, like clean off, and it's just, okay. Anyway, I'm gonna get started here. Let's go. See that submarine get killed by the entity. Basically, the entity has it kill itself, like the submarine. Which I thought was a cool little opening. And then we actually start with Ethan being sent to retrieve the key from Ilsa, Rebecca Ferguson's character, who's awesome. She was great in Rogue Nation. I love how she was addition to the team. And yeah, we get a cool action scene in the desert. I love how this scene was shot. Because I think these were supposed to be Gabe's people who are coming after her too. So Ethan manages to save her. You know, we get a big kind of action sequence where they both take them out. She gives him the key, and he basically tells her to lay low and play dead, essentially. Then he goes back to MI6 posing like undercover. I love the moments in these movies where they're wearing the fake faces. I fucking love that shit in these movies. So this is where they explain what the entity is. And I love this scene because the way they explain it, yeah, it's exposition, but it's not like exposition how I use it. I'll often use it as a negative where you're just giving me you're just going to say a bunch of shit and give me information. No, they do that in this, but it's actually good information. You learn about the entity and how it works and why it went rogue and all that. And then this is where you meet Bennington, Ethan's boss. Then this guy who's acting strangely gives Bennington like a mask to cover his face. And this is where we get that gas scene. Fucking sorry. There's usually not fucking helicopters in this area. I don't know why there's fucking one now. But anyway. So, yeah, we get a cool gas scene, and this is where we get the reveal that was Ethan. He tells him about them, and then we get the reveal that it was him who, I could be getting the dude's name. I'll just say Ethan's boss for the time being. Ethan's boss tells him about that he was the one who sent the bounty out on Ilsa. But he also wants Ethan to do one more mission. And all that. And basically this is where Ethan refuses because he wants to kill the entity. Like, he wants to destroy it. So Ethan knocks his boss out, kind of goes undercover as him. And then this is where they go back to, he goes to Luther and Benji. And just, I always love their interactions in these movies, man. It's just the banter. Like, I love like movies like this where these guys have been working, where you have characters who work together for a long time. It really shows in the later movies. Like, it's like the chemistry's just instantly there. Like, the chemistry's it's just fluid how these guys talk to each other. It's just like, wow, like you guys actually do feel like you've known each other a long time. So they have to go retrieve the key, or go to get the other half of the key. But while there, because they're going to an airport, some FBI guys are going after Ethan, and this is the characters I was talking about, like the two main ones. I just found them annoying, and this kind of a nuisance throughout the film. It's like I felt like they had no actual use to the plot. You could have written this whole element of these agents going after him. You probably could have. I get the idea because Ethan's like kind of seen as an enemy now, right? But I also feel like it wasn't needed. I feel like you could have still did that element, and maybe you have the agents come here and there. But it was just like so many scenes. They just come, and it's just they're fucking annoying. I find they're in the way of the story. So, but anyway, so we get some fun moments where Luther fucks with because he's good at hacking. He fucks with the footage. So he puts Ethan's face over a couple people and they get it wrong. And this is where we meet Grace, who's a professional thief. And I love their little back and forth. Like, the moment he meets her, Ethan's already, taking shit from her, how good it's like showing, oh, I'm a good pickpocket, too. It's just, a good, very good back and forth. And it's like, there's nothing wrong. No, this weird idea that a lot of people, I guess, who think on our side is, we just don't like women and shit. And it's like, no, we just don't want our characters to get embarrassed. And you constantly talk down to. There's not one moment that Grace talks down to Ethan. or she's always better than him. No, he outsmarts her a couple times. Like in this scene alone, he's like pickpocketing her and like showing, yo, I'm good too. So he basically kind of forces her to work with him, essentially promising her, I'll give you this money. So, but then she kind of goes on her own because during this, there's a bomb that the entity has sent. And I actually love this moment because Benji has to try to stop, and you kind of get, because the bomb essentially it's a fake bomb because we find out that there's no actual bomb in it, but they want to is kind of just using it just to get information from Ethan and his people. That's all it really was. So during all the melee, Grace kind of goes off and escapes, and just I love the shot of Ethan Hunt just climbing, running on the roof. It's just like these. I just love the cinema. Like I said, the cinematography in this is great. Fallout is still a better movie. I think Fallout just hit different. This is good. I just think Fallout like hit different. So he ends up going to Rome on his own. So he kind of loses contact with his friends for a bit. Goes to Rome on his own. Finds Grace, captured and being questioned by Italian authorities. And then, Ethan manages to help her, but she still kind of like tries to fuck him over and run off on her own. But then she gets, while driving, gets attacked by Gabe's main girl. I think her name's Paris, who I actually like. I thought she was a cool little, she was the silent, badass chick type. So then, they're handcuffed because the cops also show up. They're handcuffed together. Ethan handcuffs them together so she basically doesn't run off. So then they run off because there's like a shootout between Paris and the cops. So then they get into like a car and we get some funny shenanigans between the two. And then Paris gets in like this big ass like military SWAT truck looking thing. And I think my thing in just watching this is like noticing is, and I know it's weird because the movie is dog shit, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of Indy 5, but better. This movie basically does a better Indy 5. Like, you have a lot of the same kind of chase scenes and back and forth. Grace is basically a thief, but she's likable, unlike Helena. So it just really shows, if you can just make your characters likable, it goes a fucking long way. Haley Atwell's fucking hot as fuck, but that's not the only reason I like her character, because you can be hot as fuck, but if your character's shit, I'll call it out. But no, like, she's actually a well-written character, too. And it made me like, okay, I kind of want more of her. So they managed to get away in like a Fiat, which I thought that part was funny, because he has a tech kind of like, that's why I say these are like the new Bond movies, because, you have tech, hot women, kind of an over-the-top villain with an over-the-top plan. Oh, yeah, we even have Carrie Elways in it as the main, like, head of IMF, who's actually a villain. Even though, we don't get a lot of him, and he dies later in the film. But so Grace goes off on her own. Tom is reunited with Ilsa, Benji, and Luther, and they plan to go into this. Essentially, it's kind of like a similar scene in Indy 5 where they're doing the auction for the keys. And this is where we meet the White Widow, who I think she was in one of the other movies, but she comes back. I thought she was a cool character for the bit we got of her. So they go to the auction, and this is where Gabe just shine, man. The scenes, he basically is like, yo, I'm gonna get both the keys by tomorrow, and I know it. And he also tells Ethan, you basically, one of your girls are gonna die, because they're clearly setting up that he started to have feelings a little bit for Grace, and then Ilsa is his main girl. And Ethan initially does not want. Oh, I guess I'm kind of backtracking. Ethan doesn't want his friends to go because he thinks it'll be a trap. Because Gabe, they really do let you know how dangerous Gabe is. I really like that when a film like lets you know how big of a threat the actual villain is. So we get a big fight scene when Gabe, White Widow, agrees to sell, give the key to to Gabe. Big action sequence. They try to go after Gabe. um, or no. I think what ends up happening is Grace ends up getting the key back, and Ethan has to chase her. And this is where the stupid agents are following them. It just felt like they're just such a distraction. Every time we cut to them, I don't care about these characters. It's like the one dude, the not the bowl cut, the buzz cut looking dude. It's like I felt like he just, for whatever reason, they were trying to make it seem like he had a personal thing with Ethan, but it's like you haven't even met the dude. It felt forced every fucking time they're on screen. I was just like, get off the screen, give me back to Ethan or Grace, give me back to any of the other characters. I don't care about these guys. So Ethan is on the comms with Benji, but it turns out that the entity can hack, because it's AI, so it makes sense, can hack Benji's voice. So Benji has to go get him on the boat. And this is where Grace runs into Gabe. Gabe ends up punching her out. Ilsa comes to save her, and we get a cool fight scene between them. And I love how realistic the fights are in this. They're not, you don't see Ilsa beasting him. A lot of current movies where if you're gonna have a woman fight, she has to be beating the shit out of these 20 dudes that are way taller than her. No, she's believable. She's using a lot of leverage and a lot of that shit. But unfortunately, she ends up getting stabbed, which is tragic. I'm mixed on it a little, just because it's I would have been fine with her dying, but maybe in the next film. But because it also does come off we know why you did that. You're trying to set Ian and Grace as a couple, which is fine. You probably should have did that. If you're gonna kill Ilsa, I'm not inherently against that idea. Probably not. They shouldn't have did it here. I think they should have killed her in the end. I think that would have worked better if he killed her on the train. I think that would have worked better. That'd have been my only change, really, is that. Instead of her dying here in the middle of the movie. But whatever. I still think the scene where Ethan's running and he's too late and he gets there and he finds her dead. And this is where Grace finally joins the team. They tell her that basically you have to make the choice. And, they give her do you choose to accept it, the mission. I love that whole thing. Basically the plan is she's gonna go undercover as the White Widow to sell the other half of the key, and then Ian will come. Ethan's fucking hell. Ethan will come on the train, and this is where we get basically they're setting up that cool scene what we saw a lot in the trailer where Ethan jumps off the cliff with the motorcycle. So we cut to the mission. Actual White Widow, I said Black Widow like the comic book character. White Widow gets knocked out. And it turns out the buyer is Ethan's boss. While there, Gabe and Paris arrive. Gabe ends up killing the train driver and basically destroys the stop. So basically the train can't stop. It's just a running train. And this is where Ian... I don't know why I keep saying Ian. Fucking Ethan's trying to get to the train by getting on the motorcycle while talking to Benji. Gabe meets with... I'll just say Carrie Elways. Meets with Carrie Elways in this movie. And I actually love Carrie Elways. A couple times we see him in the movie. And this is where we find out what that opening in the beginning of the movie with the submarine was actually the actual story and what the key unlocks. And it's important. It's not just a bunch of, like I said, they really did a good job with the key in this. It's not just a MacGuffin. It's not just a thing that they just need to get because the movie's telling you it's important, but not actually showing it. The movie this one shows why it's important, not just tells you why it's important. So, then basically Carrie wants Gabe to join him. So basically be like, you have to work with me because I can be the only one who knows. And then Gabe, instead of working with him, is kills him because it's he knows he'll betray him. And also he wants to be the only one. So he even ends up trying to kill his own henchman in Paris because, I should have mentioned this before. Ethan lets Paris live because they, it was a trap, and it was Paris and like another one of Gabe's cronies trying to kill him. And Ethan had basically an opportunity to kill her, and he didn't. So he basically spared her. So they're giving her the arc. Okay, she might go good. Yeah, so he ends up managing to get away, Gabe. Then this is where we have the buy, and then Grace grows a conscience and decides not to take the money. And then the real White Widow shows up. Grace takes the key and then runs off. We get a little bit of a chase, and then this is where they're confronted by or she's confronted by White Widow. Throughout the film has like this one main guard she's talking to, and he tries to shoot her, and then Ethan just fucking crashes through. I thought that was funny. I thought that was pretty funny. Because while this is happening, is where you get that awesome scene that we saw in the trailer, and it's going to be in the thumbnail in this video, where's Ethan jumping off the cliff with the motorcycle. Then, yeah, we get, he takes out another one of them, and then, yeah, they realize that the train's a runaway train, and basically tells Grace to stop the train, and he'll confront Gabe. So they confront Gabe, and I love the fight on the top of the train. That's why I was saying, like, this movie is awesome. Like, the fight sequences are great. Just they really put the work in with the cinematography. So, yeah, great fight scene. Ethan manages to win the fight, but Gabe manages to escape because, unfortunately, the stupid ass agent show. That's what I was saying. They just get in the way of the movie. So Ethan manages to get away. Help Grace stop the train. They manage to get everybody off the train, and this is where we get a cool fucking sequence where you have to climb each of the cars because they're hanging off a cliff, and because the train because the bridge blew up. There's a bunch of bombs that Gabe's planted on the train. I mean, on the bridge that blew up. So yeah, the train ends up crashing on like the cliff essentially, and they have to climb through each of the cars that are like falling. I fucking loved it. It is like you really felt like you were in peril with them. So they manage to get saved. They get saved by Paris, who tells them about the submarine and where the key unlocks to before she dies. So it was a cool little arc for her character. Then Ethan gets away, and then she basically told, because Ethan told her that his boss will make her an offer to join. Basically, that's what happens. And then Ethan reunites with his friends looking for the key. So basically, they're setting up the next movie. I fucking love this one. This one was it was a badass film. That's all it was. That's what it needed to be. I needed something like this, especially considering the last month. Aside from, like, the Boogeyman and, I get in Across the Spider-Verse, and I guess maybe No Hard Feelings. There's just been a lot of dog shit in June. So it was nice to get finally a good fucking movie. Oh, it's not as good as Fallout. It definitely doesn't hold up to Maverick, but I really did like this one. Gabe was a cool villain. It was just nice having a good villain again. And I mean, John Wick is probably still the best film of the year, and I probably would put Sisu over this too, but this one's at least number 3 for me. Tom Cruise he's carrying Hollywood on his fucking back right now. He knows what he's doing. He actually loves these characters. He appreciates the characters he plays. He doesn't just see it as, oh, this is something I do. And the fact he's just willing to do this, and not just him, like, I feel like a lot of people when they're doing these movies, they love doing the stunts. My favorite parts of these movies for me are the banter. I actually love the banter between him, Benji, and Luther. It's just so good. And yeah, I think this movie was actually funny too. There's moments where I felt like even Ethan's character, he's not necessarily a jokey kind of character. He's even making jokes. It was good. So yeah, I would probably give this one an 8.5. I really liked it. Like the film, you could have trimmed down cut 30 to 20 minutes out of it. It didn't need to be 2.5 hours. maybe 2 hours and 15, 2 hours and 10, even like 2 hours and 10 to 2 hours and 15 is at most what it should have been. You probably could even make it 2 hours straight up and it works. I think it didn't need to be as long as it did. And I would have cut out those agent characters chasing Ethan throughout the film. They were fucking annoying. I found them annoying as fuck. But the chase scenes were great. Even the scene where he's driving the Fiat on the fucking stairs. Oh, that was funny. So Grace is an awesome addition. I can't wait to see more of her. R.I.P. Ilsa. I still felt like she maybe should have died in the end, not in the middle, but whatever. I can't wait for the next one. So that's really all I can say. Tonight, I will be doing Candyman 3. I'm going to watch that here in probably like maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. But yeah, so that's all I really got planned today. And then tomorrow, Braveheart. It'll probably be tomorrow night. I'll see. I got to see what's going on tomorrow, like during the day, but it'll either be in the afternoon sometime tomorrow, or if not, it'll be tomorrow fucking night. So, other than that, I'm gonna cheers. If you like good action, go watch this. It's a fun little ride. The time can be a problem. If you don't want to sit for 2.5 hours, you could wait, but it's worth it. I think it's Tom Cruise, man. He's carrying Hollywood. It's a badass flick. You got some badass action sequences, some decent storytelling. I'll say it again, Fallout I still think is a better movie, but I really like this one. So, but other than that, guys, I'm gonna peace out. I'll see y'all later tonight. Peace.